Hello and welcome back to your favourite chaotic Leeds United podcast, which is not another Leeds United podcast. Believe it or not, we do support Leeds United and we do talk about it sometimes. Today, I am joined by one of the thirds of this podcast, is Kevin. How are we, Kevin?
Very good, mate. Very good. How are you, Danny?
I am ecstatic because my other guest today is my favourite Irishman since Father Ted saved the other priests from that lingerie fiasco in that shop. It is Joe from Leeds United, The View. Hello, Joe, and welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, lads. Nice to be here, as always.
It's always good to have you on, sir. I've started to call you the Jerical because you know everything in and out of Leeds United. But for those of you watching later on listening, if you don't follow Joe, please go and follow him. If you don't, what are you doing? Go follow him. Don't mind us. Go follow him.
Should we do a fun fact about Father Ted while we're here? You just brought that up. Ardal O'Hanlon is a Leeds fan, isn't he? I believe.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, big time.
And if you say his name 3 times, your table starts to levitate. That's
Things get really small and far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been quite 7 days. I believe it or not, we do chaos. Yeah, that's right. If you are playing the chaos drinking game, as James Hennedy has said here, drink. That's our James of the podcast. Every time chaos is mentioned, you would take a shot. Chaos, 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 chaos. It's Friday. Live a little. I will stop waffling. So I have to advertise an exclusive club today. It is a sponsor. It's quite an exclusive club. So let's see around Leeds United. So here we go. Can you guess who they were? The exclusive speed club of Leeds United, where they've got more points on their license than they collected in the Premier League. So there you go. If you want to join that club, then feel free. Right. So welcome to the Chaotic Podcast, everyone. So we'll go all the way back to Preston. Now, me, Kevin, James went to this game, Joe. We graced everyone with our presence, and it was quite the feisty game, wasn't it, Kev?
Well, it was very tense, feisty, proper championship game. It weren't very fun, if I'm being honest with you, was it? We were just sat there like that for the entire game. I was doing Kev faced every time they went forward or we went forward. It was just strange. It was a strange atmosphere at the game as well. The weather was horrible, windy, wet. It was just horrible. But when it finishes like that, everyone just leaves on a high. So it was great. Yeah.
It was great, but it was horrible. Yeah, I totally agree, mate. It was Joe, what was your vibe? Obviously, you were watching it at home, and what was your vibe at watching the game?
Listening to it in the sphere of television, radio stuff.
The ether.
Yeah. Didn't like it at all. I didn't like any of the game. How many games we had this year where the opposition we played against have just ran around and kicked the lumps out of us, you know?
Yeah.
And Ryan Lowe still thinks it's not a handball. He's still convinced. That's not a handball. I mean, your hand's out here, and he's still trying to tell people it's down by his side. It's nuts.
I know. It's I've actually got some footage. I managed to catch up with Ryan Lowe and ask him some questions. Do you want to see the footage I managed to get? This was exclusive, by the way. I genuinely, at the game, I managed to get hold of him. Are you ready? This is what he had to say to me. It's, do you know what I mean? And I give him a copy of the handball rule. How is that? On what planet does VAR not give that a penalty?
Every day of the week. They give it every day of the
Yeah.
week. It's a penalty every single day of the week. It couldn't have been more blatant. And they should have been down to 10 men by that stage anyway. Like some of the tackles, Georgina Rudder getting booked for a dive when he's clearly stood on. You know, it's yeah, it was a horrible game to watch. But we're gonna get more of them. The more those kind of teams we play against, they're gonna try and rattle us. So
Yeah.
we need to get used to it. It's great to see us actually getting out those games with win now. Whereas earlier in the season we were either losing those games or drawing them. It's nice to actually see us figuring out a way to get past those teams.
Yeah, it's grinding out or winning it under that pressure. At one point, it reminded me of bloody Thunderdome because there were that many people getting clattered. And at one point, I think he brought on a brand new midfield just to get booked and you know, like put the weight on us a bit. Kev, how many yellow cards did you see, mate? Because I saw about 50 million.
There was a lot. There was a lot of bad tackles. Even you can tell it was a bad, rough game because Archie Gray was pushing their player. You know, he was just he don't do that sort of stuff. He was getting wound up by and kicked all the time. Evie was mentioning it last night on Joe's podcast about how he's been getting kicked now for 2 games in a row. So fair play to him, but he's injured and it's not nice, is it? He's only little. Leave him alone. God's sake, he's got Lego in that at home. Just leave him. But no, it was just horrible game. We're going to get that a lot. I think a lot of teams are going to play like that, especially against us at Ellen Road. It's just going to be horrible, dirty games that we're going to have to grind out wins, and now we know that we can do it. So I'm quite impressed with that and chuffed with it.
Yeah,
you like to win games like that, don't you? Sorry, you like to win games like that because we've been blowing teams away. And if we can know now that we can grind out these results, it's just a good sign. And everything seems to be unraveling around us as well. The team's dropping points while we're winning game after game. It's a good sign. I'd rather be in our position now when all the other teams seem to look like they could be losing players, big players, and we're keeping hold of everyone. Let's just keep it as it is.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. And we'll come on to the transfers in a little while, but I want to just talk about obviously their game plan, Joe, were just to I think we dropped to their level, and they just came to frustrate, didn't they, and just be shit.
I think they always say those kind of teams will drag you down to their level. You know, they'll make it the kind of game that they want it to be. They won't let you play football. But we've had it all season, and as you've already said it, like the amount of games we had this year where we got bullied. I mean, Blackburn. I know we didn't lose the game, but Blackburn, there was a clear plan to upset the Leeds players and try and be overly physical as well. You saw that with Stoke as well, Rotherham as well. There's plenty of teams, not just a low block, it's low block and kick them as hard as you can. You're starting to see the Leeds players stand up to it now, which I'm delighted to start to see happening. Joe Rowland's comment last week about he saw the tackle, didn't like what he saw and wasn't having that and went and got stuck in straight away. So it's great to see that kind of stuff. We need to have a bit more bite and a bit more battle about us. It's nice to be a nice football inside, but we need to have a bit of grit in this division as well. And over the last couple of games, we've started to see, I mean, Norwich as well. Norwich, after half time, they weren't interested in playing football. They were interested in hurting players as well. So it's good to see that we're managing to get past those teams, get a bit more physical with them and show we're not going to be messed about with, that we can do both sides of the game. So, yeah, nice to see.
Yeah, we need to that. I mean, obviously, there was some, for me personally, there were some performances were a bit below par, and that was just for that player's potential. For instance, Kamara for me with the bit of a sore thumb. I just thought that he kept losing it too easily, and a few opportunities of theirs came through Kamara. Kev, do you agree with that, or am I just chatting absolute beans?
No, we mentioned this last week on the Sunday Club, didn't we? That we thought Glenn Kamara, he had one of his most poor games that he's had for us for a little while. Most poor games. That's excellent England there. Yeah, he had his worst game with us for a while, and I agree. He weren't at his best, but we still got the results when we're not playing good. So that's always a good sign for me.
Yeah. I want you to picture the scene, Joe. We're sat there. It's, Ellen Road, cold, typical Yorkshire weather. Kev leans over, whispers into my, smooth ear, if you will, and he says, 6-0 this. 6-0. And then you can imagine 65 seconds after kickoff, we're 1-0 down. I mean, for me, I think Joe Roden does what he has to because he's I can't remember. I think we're Miller who got the better of him, and he has to bring him down, doesn't he? Otherwise, they're in.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'll Sorry, I
Do you know about Glenn
expecting a
Kamara,
rebuttal.
though? I agree with Glenn Kamara against Preston. He wasn't great. It's probably one of his weaker games, but I thought he was very good against Norwich. I thought that he dusted it off. He was tidy against Norwich. He wasn't bursting forward, but he was looking after the ball quite well. I thought, and again, I think he's a lot more comfortable playing beside Ampadu, where he's still trying to develop a relationship with Gruev. So it'll take a while for those two to get on the same page, and then you'll know if he can go forward or not. But I think he's doing. I mean, Norwich, I thought he was tidy enough with the ball. He kept it well. Outside of the, I don't know whose decision it was in the second half for us to just drop and sit on our box for 30 minutes. But and try and counter attack at home. I don't like that stuff. I really don't like seeing us on the back foot. But it showed that if we have to put our backs to the wall and defend, we can.
Yeah. I mean, it's from a comment here from Derby Days. I think, is it Joe Ellis? You'll have to let me know. Sorry, lads. Kamara has dropped off a little in comparison to the start of the season. Do you agree with that, Kev?
Yes and no. I think at the first couple of games he was dynamite, weren't he? And then obviously Joe took loads of abuse about Glenn Kamara, didn't he, at the start of the season as well? Yeah. And obviously he took it on the chin and took it back. But yeah, he seems to have his energy levels may have dropped off a little bit compared to what he was at the start. But sometimes you can understand that. We've just come through a massive grueling period of games, and Farker does not rotate much at all. He keeps as much the team as he can. So you can't just think that he's dropped off. It's more about energy levels for me. Again, he still doesn't make his subs. It just baffles me. But we're still winning matches. So yeah, I think he just needs a rest, and I think he'll be one of the ones that probably don't play tomorrow, in my eyes. Then give him a rest, and he'll probably be back to normal for Bristol next week.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we'll come on to the Plymouth and all that later on. But anyone for you, Joe, that would just below par, and your standouts for that matter?
It's funny because the bar is very high on the two people. I thought Rutter had a very good game, but gave the ball away a huge amount against Norwich. I love seeing him go past 2 or 3 players, but there is a time to let the ball go and let the ball do the work for you. And he was a little bit wasteful with the ball at times, especially in the first half. Chris Somerville seems to be going through a little bit of a wobble, although he's still playing really, really well. But compared to the start of the season, he's snatching at chances now where he was burying them at the start of the year. It's bound to happen. You're not going to go through an entire season and be 100% every single game. You're going to get parts of the season where the form drops off a little bit. But the ceiling is so high and the level has been so high from the two of them that even when they do drop off, they're still making an impact in the game. They're still getting involved. But I think if you take the chance that Chris had in the last 2 games and go back to the start of the season, I think he scores all of them. And he's just going through a little bit of a wobble at the moment in terms of his finishing. And I'd like to see himself and Rutter at times let the ball go. Just let it go a little bit earlier when the passes are on. I think Bamford was having a pop at Rutter and Cree at different points in the first half saying, look, it's great that you've beaten him, then let the ball go. Don't go back and try and beat him again. So they just need to knock that out of the game a little bit, be a bit more effective with the ball. But again, as I said, they're still playing really, really well, even though they're not at their normal, very, very high standard.
I always say this, I love Rutter. I think he's great. I love that he's enjoying his football and he likes to experiment on the pitch, if you will. But sometimes, you touched on it a little bit there, he does just a little bit too much. At this Preston game, he decided to do a back heel in the 85th minute when we had it in the corner. Am I just seeing that? Am I nitpicking there, or do you agree?
No, he did it a couple of times in the second half. There was times in the second half where we needed to keep the ball. I think I was Tony Dorigo made a point, I think about halfway through the second half, of saying Leeds just can't keep hold of the ball. Every time we win it, we give it away again straight away, or we kick it long and we lose possession of it. I think he criticised Melia a couple of times for getting the ball and just knocking it long down the park straight to their goalkeepers. Well, you're just giving the ball back to them again. We've got to retain the ball for a bit. We need a break here. And then you look at Rutter and he does the great stuff, goes past 2 lads, runs down the side, and you're like, right, keep it now. Just slow it down, keep it, start passing it, tries it back heel, loses possession, they break. And I mean, if that's what catches you out and it ends up being 1-1, that's the game wasn't won at 1-0. I thought we needed a second just to be comfortable with it, but you don't want to be losing the ball, especially in a 1-0 game when you're under a bit of pressure. And Norwich put the pressure on the second half. So yeah, just that kind of stuff. That's age as well. He needs to just mature a little bit with those kind of things to understand. He's got plenty of Bamford around him talking to him. I would imagine we'll sort that out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally, mate. As per you are Jericho. But people who miss it or just joining now, it's a mixture of Jer and Oracle because he's chaos drink. Kev, obviously, 2 minutes in and 5 minutes later, we equalise, and we all turned away because we thought Somerville had overplayed it. But then, what do you call him? Firberto Carlos, you call him now?
Furpocalypse is the new one that we brought out last night. Furpocalypse. Yeah, Furpocalypse is a great one. We had brought that out last night. So yeah, Furpocalypse now. He seems to have picked up a bit of his pace again, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he got there rapid, and I can't fault the guy at the moment. I just fault him when his knees fall apart in February. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But he's playing really well, and Danny. He's doing something right, and we all love a good redemption arc. But yeah, we just, as we were saying last night, it's just our luck. He'll just get injured on the 1st or 2nd of February. So,
we'll talk about transfers in a minute, but I don't think the 49ers are so that naive to think, because his form's a bit better. He's obviously got a medical history. He's got his own. He's got his own medical room. He's got his own chair. He's lazy boy in the corner in the medical room. He goes on nights out with the physios, doesn't he? Anyway,
he's going to lose his frequent flyer miles if he doesn't get that sorted. He hasn't had a stamp in ages.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, if he gets one more injury, he gets a free coffee from the
that's exactly
Thorpe Arch Cafe. But yeah, Joe Firpo, he's coming to is that 4 assists now? 4
assists, yeah, in 5 games, and he was very unlucky not to have another assist at Bamford at the time. The overhead kick a little bit quicker, that would have been a cracking goal. I'm being balanced about this because we can be very overreactive in both senses, and we can also be a bit revisionary with our history as well. I've seen all the apology letters and all the "I was wrong, Junior Firpo." This is the Championship, not the Premier League. So our judgment on Firpo before and the criticism of Firpo before were based on games that he played at that time in the Premier League. This is a different division, a different time. Just because he was good for the last 5 games doesn't change his past history and the games that he's played before. The criticism then is valid for those games, and the praise now is valid for these games now because he's doing really well now. But it is the Championship, and it is a lot of the pros that we're talking about with Firpo are attacking stuff, like his assists. His job is ultimately to defend. And when we start seeing him going up against good wingers and people are going to get at him a bit more, we'll see if his defensive capabilities have improved at all. I still have question marks around him as a defender. I think as a wing back, I think he'd be phenomenal. I think even as a left wing option, because the pace is there. He's got a lovely cross on him. He does things very well. His tackling was very good as well. But I just worry about his position at times. We do tend to get opened up down the left-hand side when he is playing, but I'm not going to take anything away from how he's playing right now. He's been excellent, but I would say I'm not going to retroactively change my opinion on Junior Firpo because he's having a couple of good games. It's a very small sample size. See if he gets to the end of the season, see how that goes, and then see how he does when he goes back into the Premier League. If we do get there, is he capable of doing it? Because I'm not 100% sure, but I won't take the negative stuff from the past and put it onto him now because he's doing really, really well. And he deserves the praise that he's getting right now.
That's fair, mate. That's fair. Kev, I know you say about Junior Firpo, he don't look over his left shoulder.
Like I said, like every time, it's like Zoolander. Can't turn left, can't turn his head left. But he has defended a little bit better recently. Yes. But, I mean, no disrespect to the other teams, we haven't played anybody amazing up until the Norwich game. Like in the past games, Cardiff weren't very good, Birmingham weren't very good, and Peterborough, they weren't very good. So I'm just, when we come up against a top end Championship team, I'd probably be quite worried about his defensive abilities. Yeah, I've got to agree with you. Sample size is right, but if he keeps improving and getting better, just gets his runs a game in, why not? Why can't he be this starting left back that we need? But I still think there's still he needs to play more games for us to say, is Junior Firpo back? Is he the player who was at Barcelona? I still don't know.
No, I think that obviously, like you said, as the games go on, we'll see. If you keep, like, when he was interviewed after the game, was it the Norwich game or this game we're talking about? He said, "Are you enjoying your football?" And he says, "It's something. I'm terrible at quotes." He says, "This is the longest I played for Leeds United because obviously he's been injury ridden, and his knees are made with, I think, biscuits." Obviously we scored the equaliser. Dan James with an absolute salmon bullet header. That's his 10th goal of the season. Joe, if I told you at the beginning of the season that Dan James would have 16 goals and assists at this stage, would I have to pick you up off the floor?
No, not at all.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
If we go back and look at Joe's show at the start of the year, and I think I said Dan James is going to light up the championship. I never had any doubt that he was going to have a really good season.
Really?
I love Dan James. I think he's a cracking player. His end product hasn't always been great, but his work rate's always been there. And I'm a big believer in the whole side. Before, is that a dog? Firpo is the dog. Is that a dog?
It's a goat. It's a goat. I can confirm it is a goat.
By the way, everyone, Derby days, it's Joe and he has other guests on. They're really good. They're Leeds fans. He does it on Insta. So if anybody's watching, go give Joe and that a follow on Insta and stuff like that. They're really, really good. Got a great setup how he does his interviews as well.
Hold on a minute. Has Joe paid you to plug
No,
his
not
thing?
at all. No, just we all do this.
Joe.
Leeds people.
Listen here, Joe. You paying my mates to plug your thing on this podcast? What about me? Oh, do you know? You and Kev, it's all coming. Yeah, right. Okay, right. Wait till I open my editing app. No, but yeah, seriously, go check them out. Joe and Ellis, they're both Leeds United fans. They have other fans on there, and they do like the Premier League watch-alongs. Great stuff. Please go watch them. But watch us first. Right. Yeah. So obviously we'll move on to the penalty shout. Obviously we talked about it at the beginning. He's pretty much playing basketball. Is it? Oh, I forget his name. Joe. Is it Ledson?
Ledson. Yeah.
Ledson. He's his arm moves towards the ball, clear on ball, and I don't think me and Kev recreated Dirty Dancing, didn't we? I lifted Kev up like this in the aisle. We kissed, shared some chewing gum, and that was it. You know, heat of the moment stuff.
Spoke about lasagna.
Yeah, spoke about lasagna quite a bit.
Yep.
Right. So obviously, when we saw Bamford with the ball, me and Kev looked at each other and said, please no. Joe, what's your initial reaction to that, mate?
I shouted at telly. Literally, was like, no, get him away from it. I'm not. There's a lot of people saying that it was a bit of kidology, that it was, he knew what he was doing. He was always going to pass the ball on. I'm not so sure, because I'm not so sure why Daniel Farke called Joe Roland over to the sideline and then told him to go, and then Joe Roland sprints over to the box. So I'm not 100% convinced that was what the plan was, but I think Paddy might have been told, Gaffer says, give it to him. And that was the end of it. But yeah, you see in the Premier League, I mean, it's nothing new. People again are making out that this is some sort of brilliant tactic that Leeds came up with. If you look in the Premier League, there's teams every week. It's the penalty kick taker. Get my word sorted out now. The penalty kick taker will usually not be near the ball. It'll be somebody else, because they'll get all the abuse in the players. They'll get all the stuff that goes on and messing around the penalty spot. And then the last second, they just hand the ball off and away they go. So nothing new, but I'm glad that we're doing that kind of stuff as well. And more importantly, I'm just glad that we scored the penalty.
Yeah. I mean, if it's for me personally, if it's one person you want on that ball for a penalty, it's Joel Piroux. I think just like I say it every week, going back to his Millwall goal, his just composure is just brilliant for me, and it's something that Rutter needs for me personally. But we'll talk about him soon, about the Norwich game. Kev, obviously your reaction to the Piroux goal, you laughed, didn't you, when Bamford gave the ball back?
Yeah, because the whole crowd went, yay, didn't they? Like, in a little girl's voice, just like that. But yeah, the whole crowd was like, which was so relieved when he handed over the ball. It was brilliant. It was one of the loudest cheers of the day. It was brilliant. But yeah, I think everyone was just relieved in the ground. I would love him to step up and score one. I really would, but not in a moment like that. If we're 3-4-0 up, I'd let him have a penalty.
Give him the pen.
Yeah, but not then. Not there. Not with recent records.
Too much pressure, do you think?
I couldn't look, and then when I heard he passed over to Perot, I went, "Oh, that's all right then," like that. But when it was Bamford had his hand, I had my head inside the jacket. I could not at all. And normally I'm all right watching pens.
I don't think it were a case of he's seen sense. For me, I think it was just like, that's it. Yeah, okay, you've realised, Paddy. Give it to Joel. But I think, like you said, Joe, I think it was just like the Premier League games that they play, and he's holding onto the ball, and everyone's thinking, "Oh, Bamford's going to miss it," And then obviously, to be fair, it was just low and hard, wasn't it, from Peru? It was classic.
Just sold the
strikers.
goalkeeper. Yeah, it just shows the keeper the eyes and goes the opposite way. I mean, it's not. I mean, if the keeper goes the right way, he probably saves it. But that's the whole point of it, of being a really good penalty taker, is you can trick the keeper into going the way you want them to go, and then pop it on the other side. So, yeah, look, he did his job. Put the ball in the back, and that starts sounding like Roy Keane. He turned up and he did his job. That's all that's all that matters.
It's his job.
He gets his shots on target. That's what he said. You got to get him on target.
That's my Roy Keane. That's the only thing.
My grandparents would hate me. My grandparents.
I do apologise, Jer, if you take any offence to that. I will give him a course to do about the Irish accent. I'll have to go through HR, but again. But yeah, Dan James 16 goals and assists. Perrault is on 11 goals and assists. Somerville's on 19 goals and assists. Like you say, Bamford's on 4 goals. Rutter's on 14 goals and assists. That's 9 assists as well. So as you can see, across that front four, I think we're sound. We'll go on the transfers in a little bit, but here's a player that I really want to talk about, Gruev. And across both games, or ever since he started playing, I've got a stat for you. Gruev in his last 3 games, right, 93% pass accuracy. That's amazing. That's great across 3 games. Yeah. Amazing. What's your thoughts, Jer, on Gruev, getting in the Gruev player?
He's excellent. I really enjoying watching him. We haven't had a player who was I think it was Don Matteo or John Newsom or somebody compared him to David Batty. I'm saying it's the first time we've had a kind of player like David Batty who can throw himself into tackles, doesn't mind sticking a leg in, physical when he needs to be. But I mean, his little back flick against Norwich was lovely as well. Like he can be very tidy on the ball. It's not just his pass and accuracy though; it's the volume of passes. It was 173 passes against Norwich and he had 93% accuracy. That's a massive amount of passes. Usually say with most teams, if you're averaging over 300 or 400 passes a game as a team, you're probably winning the game. He's chalking up 175 passes, 173 passes on his own. So that's just one player. And to have the accuracy, I mean, in the 80s, if you have a midfield with 80s percentages, you're probably in the top half of the table, or you're in the playoffs there if you're doing that. He's in the 90s after been sitting on the bench for most of the season. I think he's been excellent. Defensively, he's been really, really good. His pass is lovely. And it's not just side-to-side passing. He does look for through balls as well. And he does try and split the lines with passes as well. And he can do that. Evie made the point in the chat saying that we won the worst long passing accuracies in the league and we should knock it out and knock it off. And if you look at what Gruev is doing when he's in the middle of the park, it's 10, 15 yards, that's it. But it's a direct pass, but it's on the deck and it's fast and it's hit hard and he gets after it then as well. So love him. I'm really enjoying watching him playing. It gives Daniel Farke a massive headache when Strauch comes back from being injured. Does Ampadu go back in the midfield? What happens to Gruev? You cannot drop that man on his current form. No. And then I think he's entitled to a bad game as well. He's entitled to a little bit of a wobble here because he hasn't played a huge amount of football this year. So if he does have a bit of a bad game, you can't just drop him straight away and put somebody else back in. It's going to make it very interesting when everybody's back and fit and ready.
That is, I mean, obviously, Strike's out for a bit longer now, but it's going to be a definite headache for Daniel Farke, which is obviously a good thing. But wow, another stat that I've got for you: Archie Gray, he's played 2,270 minutes, and that's more than any other under 18 player across Europe, and that's from Joe Donoghue, and that is phenomenal. He is a generational talent. If anyone says he's rubbish, they're obviously on the wacky backy. They're on the Kev. What's another slang for some drugs? I don't know. Colombian powder or whatever. Oh, you're just mental. How about that? I'll come out and say it. Yeah. So crack. Yeah. There's that as well. But yeah, Archie Gray. I mean, Kev. Wowzer. What a player, eh? And we've locked him down to a 4-year. He's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. He's getting better as well. I'll be honest. I think if he just carries on doing what he's doing, I would like him to progress his career in central midfield. I'd like him to be that midfield that bombs on and gets him beyond the defense, because you can see what he goes past people. He's really strong runner with the ball, especially through the middle. But we're actually playing really well with him as a fullback. Is Archie Gray destined to be Leeds right back for the next 4 years if Daniel Farke's manager, and the way our midfield is right now? I don't know. But I'd like him to become a midfielder because he'd probably add goals to his game and assists. But yeah, he's going to be something big. And I do feel he should be playing for Leeds for many, many years if we go on the trajectory that the 49ers want to go on, and that's a good thing. But yeah, let's just. I don't want to talk about him playing for anybody else, so I think I'll just leave it there.
It's not going to happen, mate. And if he does leave in 30 years, when we eventually let him out of his cage, we'll just by that time, because it's like Jurassic Park, we've got the Gray's DNA on file, and by that time, 2 more have grown up to footballing age, so we're all right. Don't worry about it.
We've got Harry coming through just after him, so that'll be all right. That's
exactly.
a striker that we need as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
If I could just go back to Gruev, obviously, because I just want to touch on what Joe said there, because he's been amazing, hasn't he? Like you say, he's passing, he's tackling, but also the shape of our team when he's playing, because he drops it in, don't he, and lets Amper do those runs down the left-hand side. Our shape defensively is absolutely class. So I just, as much as I love Pascal, and I do think he'll come back into the side, I do think there's a lot more options for Leeds now with the people that they've got. Ampadu can drop in and Gruev can drop in there. It's just I just don't see Ampadu and Gruev playing together. Which
I agree, mate. I think that when they played against who was it? I think basically Ampadu and Gray played together, and I think they nullified each other.
I think it was Stoke.
That was it. Yeah. I've got Michael Brown here in the comments has made a really good point, right? And I'm going to bring it up, but he's beat me to it. Gruev has bided his time on the bench and waited for first team opportunities, something that Cresswell and Spence have learned from as Farker, just take into account. But what shades of that I echo. So he has sat on the bench, he's waited, he's took his opportunity with Cresswell and Spence aside, right? He has took this opportunity and he's got a firm grip on this midfield position for me. Joe, obviously you reacted to that comment a little bit.
I don't agree with the Cresswell stuff. I think people are being excessively harsh on Cresswell, if I'm being honest. Daniel Farke's press conference today, I think he clarified. I think Daniel Farke realised what he said the last time and how it was being picked up by people. And he clarified an awful lot of things. He said today that Cresswell's been professional. But he said, and it's understandable that a young player who has played for Millwall at this level last year and proved he was a good player at this level is frustrated that he's not getting game time. So Farke said he understands it. He said the kid's been professional. We can be very harsh to go in our own young players way too early and way too heavy sometimes. So I don't necessarily think it's not fair to label somebody as not being professional if you don't know what they're doing day to day. And we don't know. All we can take out is what Farke has said. And even the first thing that he said about Cresswell as well, all I took from it was a 21-year-old who thinks he should be playing and is really disappointed that he's not playing. And that's, you see that in dressing rooms with kids. I've managed teams, I've coached teams, and even at amateur level, when you pick a team, you could have 4 or 5 lads on the bench who all think they should be starting the game, and you'll have faces like you say, oh, well, this is the team, and you'll have a couple of sulky lads in the corner, but that's just young players. They're like that. They want to play every minute of every game. They want to be involved, and when they're not, they get annoyed and get disappointed, and that's expected. Farke doesn't want that in the camp, and that's also acceptable and also understandable. He doesn't want that. And I think he clarified that today. So I think Spence maybe. Yeah, I agree with the Spence part because stuff's come out that he was late and his timekeeping wasn't good and he missed a couple of club events. That hasn't come out about Cresswell. It's just a player that's been and he never said he was. People have been saying he had a bad attitude. Farke never said that. In the first press conference when he was asked about it, he never mentioned the word attitude. He said focus. He's lacking focus right now. And he sees him on the bus and the head is down. He's not focused on the game. So they're a very different thing between focus and attitude. People can be very quick to jump on the attitude bandwagon. And I don't agree with it necessarily with Cresswell, but I do agree with it with Spence. So half and half. That's me on taking it.
No, I agree, Kev. You're on mute, Kevin.
Yeah, I agree. I've always thought it'd be something a bit different in the background with Cresswell. Joe said something previously that if we're going to let Cresswell go, he should be out on loan and not selling him. I think he put it onto the Twitter because he has got potential and he has a good player, but also managers don't stick around and he's only young. So if I would have sent him out on loan, but I can see him playing on tomorrow now as well. I see Cresswell getting involved anyway tomorrow. Yeah.
Minimum on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I agree.
Focus and attitude. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, no, go.
Yeah, focus and attitude are completely different things. It's like we've had the same thing with Nonto as well, haven't we? And obviously he was off it, and he's back in the squad. and he possibly sign a new deal. So there's always ways back for players like that. And I do think Cresswell comes into that bracket. I don't think they want to sell Cresswell. I think they want to keep him as a part of this long-term project. But the way Joe Rodon's playing, he's just got to take it on the chin. Like Gruev has done. It took him ages to get in the side. He's come in, he's played well. He's took his chance with both hands, and he's going to be hard to drop him now. I can't see him being dropped for any time soon unless he has a stinker. So yeah.
I agree. Just touching on before we move on, Nonto, I think that was agent poison in his ear, personally. We all know what his agent was like. He did the same with Zaniolo, or whatever, Ravioli, whatever his name is. So all in all, good win, wasn't it, lads? And it was good to take 3 points, and it was good to meet in person, wasn't it, Kevin?
Yes.
You need to work on your kissing, though. Anyway,
yeah,
so let's move on to the next segment, which is, for those people who don't know, is Guess the Player. Now, it's a recent one, and I will put, you've got 5 seconds to have a look at this player. And your clue is today that Marcelo Bielsa coined a phrase. Now, let me make sure I pick the right one. So you've got 5 seconds, and you've got to try and figure out who this player is. Who is this player? Now, obviously, he's there taking a penalty, and that is your 5 seconds. Now, so I want to see in the comments, who do you think it is? Obviously, he played for Leeds United, and who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? I'll come to you first, Kevin, because Jers is raring to go.
I'm going to say Rodrigo.
Oh, we've got Ed Sheeran in the comments. Rodrigo. Jer, who do you think it is?
You see, I looked at the body shape and I thought it was Bamford, but now you've said Rodrigo. I'm like, oh, I forgot about him.
Left-footed.
Left footer. Paddy's left-footed. Yeah, Paddy's left-footed as well. I think it's Paddy. Penalties, because Paddy did take penalties, so I think it might be Paddy. Or Pikachu, one or the other.
If you're watching, I'll put it up again.
It's Penfold, isn't it? From Danger Mouse. That's who it's going to be. Something like that.
Let's get some comments in. We've got Ed Sheeran from James. We've got Rodrigo. We've got Very Good Davis. We've got Greg Davis from Evie. And no one else wants to join in. So what I will do, I will. So this is what you saw. Now, I said Marcelo Bielsa coined a phrase. Now, we all know that, over in Australia, it is Hovis. Very good Hovis from who's played for Leeds United all them years ago. Now, that is a famous phrase. Very good Hovis, isn't it? Simple white.
Does that mean Andy's got it right? Very good, but he spelt Hovis wrong. Yeah.
No, it's Very Good Hovis. We all know he played for Leeds United for all them months, but it's a shame it didn't work out. He's back with Warburton's FC. Right, so we're moving on. No one wins.
What
again
if nobody ever gets it, Danny? What if nobody ever guesses it?
Then I win. We are a chaotic podcast. I never said we were good. I just said we were silly.
James is coming.
Right. James, shut up. Right. Okay. So we'll move on to some news now. Obviously, we touched on it there, and if you're still watching, that is. So then, obviously, you touched on it there, Kev. Nonto has been offered a new deal. Right idea for you? You think he's settled down? He's got his head screwed on?
Well, he seems happy. I mean, everyone's saying, "Where's Nonto? Where's Nonto?" But I mean, Evie was mentioning this last night. He's been down the tunnels at the games. He was in the video with Rutter when they're dancing around. He's still there and thereabouts. It's asset protection for me. If we go up, I mean, they're protecting his value with this. He's probably on one of the lowest earners on the squad as well, because he came in last year as a youth player, hasn't signed a new contract. They're probably just paying him what he's deserves as a player at his level, and keeping his value up, probably putting a decent sized release clause in there. And I do think Willie Nonto will play a big part in Leeds towards the end of the season if he stays. I have faith in this lad. He's going to come good at some point, because we saw it last year against Man United. His bicycle kick against Cardiff. He's got it in his locker. He's just had a bad time, injuries, like you just said, poison in his ear. he's got a big career, and hopefully it's going to be with us again because he's an Italy international, highly rated by Mancini. He is a good player. Just needs to get in the team. And with Dan James injured and him back, if he takes his chance tomorrow against a championship team, you never know what could hold out for Nantes for the rest of the year now.
Yeah, just touching it. You touched on it there, mate. Obviously, Archie and James have got some injuries. James is out for tomorrow, and so is Archie. Obviously, I won't play them anyway. We'll go on to that game tomorrow later on. But we'll talk about Cresswell. We've touched on Cresswell. We're a focus thing. Now he's come out today as Farker, and he said he's willing to stay. Do you see him progressing now from this moment on? We're seeing him a lot more.
He's got a great chance because there's injuries there. I mean, we don't know how bad Stroke's injuries is. It seems to be, and Farke didn't give a huge amount away today. He kind of said definitely the next 2 games, and we'll have to assess it at that point. So there's opportunities there. Cooper's been in for a couple of games, gets injured, drops out. There's opportunities for him to get in if he can get the head right and get himself sharp and get into the team. I'd love to see him play a couple of games under 21s just to get his match sharpness up a little bit, because I'm not a big believer in training matches being enough to keep you sharp, even if they're the match preparation stuff that Farke talks about. I think you need to be playing in competitive games at some level to be sharp. But he's got opportunities. I don't think he'll start tomorrow. He may do, but I don't think he will. I think he'll probably be on the bench. I don't think he brings him straight back in if there's been a bit of a butting of heads. I think it's like, yeah, softly, I'll bring you back into the fold, but you're not necessarily starting the game. But he might get some minutes. And going back to what Kev said about him as well, I didn't understand the rush to sell the player. I just didn't get it. I mean, if his value at the moment is 5 million, he played, and the way it's been worded, and I would agree with a lot of this, was he scored a couple of goals at the start of last season for Millwall, but made a couple of big mistakes with them as well defensively. But when he came back into the team in the second half of the season, he was phenomenal for them. He was one of the main reasons why they pushed up the table and made it run the playoffs. And his injury coincided with their form dipping and missing out on the playoffs in the last couple of games. He's been phenomenal for the England 20s elite squad, and that's a really, really good squad of players to get into. And trust me, it hurts me telling you that the England team is good. So there's something in that, right? He's very good in that, and then he was very good for the England 21s as well. You know, so
it's never too late to take Patrick Bamford back, mate. You know, he's in form now.
You can have him. Keep him. No, it's okay. No,
would you not just?
No, it's fine. It's okay. No, we won't want to take that away from you.
Sure. If we wash him, we can wash the England off him if you want. Spray him down.
And every day you get an England number 9 in your squad. You know, you need to keep him. You know.
I want to add something to this Cresswell thing, if that's all right, Joe. Imagine Cresswell's on the bench against Norwich the other night, and they're bringing on Adam Eder and Ashley Barnes, who's a better centre half to defend for us alongside Road than Charlie Cresswell. They're just going to fill it into the box. Imagine he's on the bench. He's coming on, isn't he? Because he's great in the air, and he's very brave. I thought he would have been a really good sub to be coming on in those last 5 minutes when we're under the cosh from long balls, people whacking the ball into the box. So you can see he's got value to this team. But I just don't think Farke fancies him because of his ball playing skills, really. And Joe Rodon's form.
That's fine though, Kev. I mean, there's no issue with that. The manager picks the team, and ultimately he'll live and die by his own decisions. But as we said earlier on, when was the last time we had a manager here for more than 3 years? When was the last time we Bielsa for 3 years? Beyond that, it's 6 months a year, 6 months a year, 2 years maybe.
Grayson?
So Grayson was what, maybe. 2.5, 3 years, 2.5 years,
was
maybe
it?
3 years. Maybe a bit more. Maybe it was a bit more. But like, if you look at the lifetime of a manager, and like, I remember this years ago, a club that I was playing for, it was a case of I don't have to leave the club. I don't have to survive anything. I just have to outlast the manager. And then the next guy that comes in, I've got a fresh chance with him, you know? And if it's a case with, you know, this manager might not fancy Cresswell, and that's absolutely perfectly acceptable. That's his choice. It's his style of play. It might not fit, and not every player fits every manager. But to sell the player is a very definitive statement of, right, we're done with you and you're gone. The next guy that comes in could be a big fan of that kind of player and would want to use that player. Now you don't have him anymore in your squad. Where loaning him out, he gets the games that he needs. It also allows him his value to increase if he's playing well. Because there were clubs that wanted to buy him after his loan spell at Millwall. So that will bring his value up as well. And then you can bring him back whenever you want him, or if he's back to a level that you want to have him at, you've got that option. He's on a 5-year contract. He's only just signed it. Why sell the player for what ultimately with what the 49ers will have it to get into the Premier League next year is peanuts, like 4 or 5 million. Like, what difference is that going to make to your budgets really next year? Not an awful lot. So yeah, I personally think I'm glad he sorted it out. I'm glad he wants to stay. I'm glad he's knuckling down, and was listening to Square Ball this morning. They were talking about his younger brother Alfie, who's in the under 18s team. And they're like, if we fall out with one Cresswell, do we fall out with all the Cresswells? Are they all gone? Do they all have to leave? Or can we keep one of them? Can we hang on to them for a bit? So yeah, there's clearly a player in there. There's clearly a couple of a good defender in there. The stuff he did last year at Millwall stands up. And to Kev's point as well, not only bring them on late in games to defend, if you need to attack corners, because we don't score a huge amount of goals from corners, he's very good at attacking corners, and he gets a lot of goals from corners for a centre back. So there are options, but if you need to throw big man up front of the last few minutes, you can do that as well. So I'm glad they've sorted it out. I'm glad they've resolved it. I'd hate to see a Leeds, academy prospect just dwindle off or go somewhere else and make a name for themselves at another club. I hate seeing that kind of stuff. So I'm delighted it's been sorted, and fingers crossed he gets his opportunity, and then it's up to him. It's up to him.
And remember, Click wasn't fancied by any manager until Bielsa come along.
It was turfed off to Utrecht, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then he just comes in. It goes pre-season with Bielsa, becomes a mainstay for years. I can't even remember him missing a game through Bielsa legacy. Do you know? So
I think it was
96.
Yeah, no, just short of 100. It was like 96, 98 or something. It was just short of 100. Like consecutive games for Leeds United. And me personally, I love Click. I wish he'd come back. And when he left, he said, "I'll be back for that 200 appearance." And I think he's got 5 to go, and he's got 200 appearances. And it'd be good to see him back. We are pressed for time, so I will. We are linked. Obviously, Mullen's gone to Inverness. But, I think he'll do all right for it. It's a hard league, the Championship up there. Sorry, and hopefully it comes back there. We've been linked to the same names. And it's very obviously the 49ers run a bit of a tight ship. Benson Phillips has been mentioned again. Charlie Taylor and David Brooks. See, David Brooks got an assist last night, or one or two assists for Bournemouth. So I don't think Brooks comes.
Somebody said something to me about Brooks that made me think there was more in that. That was a cup game. After the game, Brooks said he wants to play. And if he can, ideally, he'd like to play at Bournemouth, but if that's not an option, he wants to go and play. That's ultimately he wants to play. Iriola said it's down to 2 things. 1, what the player wants to do. And 2, can they get a replacement in time to fill the gap? Because he does fill a spot on the bench for them. Last night in the Cup, he scored and he got an assist, I think, at least one assist. And he was captain. And some people were saying that maybe he was given the captain's armband as a thanks very much, off you pop. Right. But there's a lot of people, I think there's a couple few people that have said that if he is to go, it'll be very late in the window. Could be deadline day when he moves, if he moves at all.
Yeah. Kev, what do you think?
I like David Brooks, and he's come through a lot of adversity and like near career-ending injuries, life-threatening illnesses, and that he's a really, really silky player. He's also Welsh, and that fits into our mantra. I'm sure Leeds and Bournemouth, we've got good relationships recently, haven't we? I'm sure that something can be done there. I really do. I'd like him to come in. But yeah, I agree with what Joe said. I think all Leeds deals are going to come down to the last day of the window. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a player in tomorrow. I think it'll all be done on Wednesday next week.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I don't think they're naive enough. Yeah. It's all cloak and dagger in it. Yeah, I just don't think the 49ers are naive enough after the summer to weaken themselves, sending Jed Spence back, Ayling's gone. Even Mullen, you could argue, but I just don't think they'll get rid just to keep it that way. What really annoys me is when fans say, "We're not doing anything." That's because we're moving in. It's a buzzword, moving in silence. But I just don't think they'll go, "Oh, we're going to try and sign so and so today." Do you know what I mean? Just won't come out and say it.
I also think. Sorry, Danny. I also think it's because they're going after the right profile of player. They're not just going to get someone for the sake of it, just to have bodies there in case something goes wrong. He wants specific players. Like he went after Ampadu. We went after Kamara for a long time. Every player that he got was a profile that made the team better. Even Spence should have made the team better on paper. We all knew that. We were really excited for Spence, and it's not worked out on the mental side, not on the playing side. So You can every player. I would rather them go after the right players that are going to push us for promotion than just going out and they're getting their targets now, and then somebody becomes available on the last day of the window that they really want, and he goes somewhere else. So, if we can get the right players that we want, I'll wait until 23:59 on the 31st of Jan. You know, I don't mind. Yeah,
I agree. Just going to a comment that Evie put in earlier. We need a proper number 10 if Ampadu and Gruev play together. Do you think that's? Do you think you agree with that?
I think George is doing a good job in that role right now, but I do think you need a second option because, and I'd have liked to have seen Pavetta play more this year off the bench to see, because Daniel Farke keeps saying he's the most creative player we have. He's the most creative player we have. He's the most creative player we have, and then doesn't play him. He might play tomorrow, but I think we need somebody else there as well as a backup. But the issue for me is going to be, I kind of said it on my channel this morning. Everyone that Leeds are looking at, either the club or the player, are saying, I want minutes. Leeds can't guarantee anybody minutes. Leeds haven't lost the game this year. We're unbeaten. We conceded 1 goal. You know, you're not getting into this team that easily. You know, so you might have to come in and sit on the bench for a while. And again, we talked about Gruev pretty much playing half a season sitting on the bench. These players aren't going to come to Leeds if they're going to be sitting on the bench for 6-10 games out of what's left, 18-19 games left. So they're not going to do that, and that seems to be the problem. The Ben Godfrey one seems to be down to the fact that he wants minutes and Leeds can't guarantee him that. So that seems to be one of the big stumbling points there, outside of the fact that Everton want a loan with an obligation to buy, and Leeds are miles away from what Leeds value him at as well. Graham Bailey said Calvin Ramsey at Liverpool isn't good enough and won't get in ahead of Archie Gray, so that one probably ruled out as well. Ben Johnson's not happening. He's staying put at West Ham. He had a really good game when he came on in midfield for them last week, so he's gone. Connor Roberts is probably the only one that's a possible get at right back. But again, I don't think he's going to come unless he's been told you're coming in as first choice right back. That's going to have to be. And again, I don't think Daniel Farke does that. So I think getting cover might be okay. I agree Leeds are going after the right caliber of player, and that's why it's taken so long to get them in, because you're going to have to wait for Premier League clubs to do their business before you can get these players. But at the same time, it's whether these players will come and sit on the bench for a couple of weeks is going to be the big point, or Leeds bring in players that are slightly better than we've got on the bench, but not as good as the players we've got in the team, and they perform a cover job for us. But same with Charlie Taylor. I mean, Charlie Taylor's been linked again. They said that Leeds would like to move for Taylor if Burnley make him available, which they might do because he's out of contract at the end of the season and he hasn't signed a new deal. So they might want to get some money for him now. He's 30 years of age. So there's that. But again, Charlie's not going to drop down to the Championship and sit on the bench. He's playing every week for Burnley right now. So
yeah.
It's tricky. It's a really tricky, and this is the first window I think I've looked at and gone, yeah, I agree, it's a tricky window, because what's the point in bringing in anybody if they're not better than what you've got? And then what's the point in bringing in anybody if they're not going to play?
Yeah, we were linked to the young Polish lad as well from Liverpool, whose contract runs out in the summer, I believe. I forget his name, but
I don't believe that one though. Game of Football Insider.
No.
There's a couple.
Yeah,
I was just about to say, all that you've just said, Joe, is that an exclusive from your pals at Football Insider? Is it? Eh?
I don't cover anything Football Insider. In fact, I've got a lovely post ready for the window when it closes. If it goes the way I think it's gonna go, it's just wall to wall Football Insider bullshit. So, I don't believe a word out of Pete's mouth or his keyboard, and I don't believe anything Football Insider say. They haven't got one thing right. That was an exclusive. All their exclusives, same as Team Talk. Every time Team Talk have an exclusive, it turns out to be incorrect within minutes of it going live. So
you would take Ben Godfrey though, wouldn't you? You would take Ben Godfrey.
Yeah. I think Ben Godfrey would be good because he covers two positions. Yeah, he covers two good positions. He's a good right back, and Farke knows him, so he might not have to sit on the bench for as long because Farke knows exactly what he's going to get from him, pushes him. But he cost Everton 25 million. I don't think we're going to get him for nothing. You know, I think Leeds are going to have to be willing to put some money on the table. I don't think I don't think he's worth 25 million at the moment. I don't think he's worth 20 million. So I think that might be the sticking point as well. Leeds are like, we'll give you 15 or 10 for him, and they're like, no, we want 25.
Would you swap him for Harrison? Direct swap.
That's been mentioned, and that's a really good. I think it's a really good point. The only reason I think that won't happen is with Everton looking at a second potential 10-point deduction. Harrison has shown already the loyalty factor here. You know, if it looks like they're going to go down, Jackie's not sticking around there. So Jackie's not going to commit himself to Everton in the situation they're in at the moment. And then you've seen all the posts about 7-7 partners, the clubs that they own around Europe as well. They're not doing well financially either. So there could be some big problems there for Everton if they get found guilty of another FFP breach. And I don't think Jackie would stick around, and I think that would make it really tough for Everton to try and do a swap with Leeds. But I think it's the right way to go. If Leeds wanted to get Godfrey on the cheap, that's what you do, because I don't want Jackie to come back. So I would be happy to swap him and even throw a few quid and swap him, but I don't think it'll happen. But it's a good show.
It'd be funny though. Be funny though, wouldn't it?
It would be funny. That would be good. Yeah. And we got Godfrey and Harrison got relegated. It'd be so funny.
Yeah,
I know, right?
And we went on to win everything. Right, just some breaking news, obviously, before we came on. Yeah, obviously a bit of a wobble. Kieran Dewsbury Hall from Leicester is in talks with Brighton. Now that's a bit of a bombshell if he goes, because he's been their star player. And is it Ndidi that's injured now for 3 months or something? Bombshell for that, and I think that changes the league, not in terms of like running away with it, but I think maybe we could catch up. Who knows?
9 points.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's 9 points right now, so it's there if they start dropping. If they keep dropping points the way they've been dropping them the last couple of games, if they keep losing players. I said before Christmas that I thought January was going to be a huge month for Leicester with the African Cup of Nations and the Asia Cup as well. They're going to lose a couple of players for about 10 matches if their teams progress, but now Ndidi being injured is a huge loss for them as well. Even in terms of squad depth. And then if Dewsbury Hall goes, that's their talisman. Although I did love the comment that was in the chat earlier on that he's a 75% passing accuracy, as their best passer. So 30 million, I think Brighton have that. I mean, they've been selling everyone for 100 million, so they've probably got a couple of quid in the bank at this stage. They could probably try, and that would be great for us. But they'll bring somebody else in as well. But whether they're at the same level as Dewsbury Hall, I don't know.
They're not going to be able to sign someone at the level of Dewsbury Hall if they didn't have him when he would have got relegated. No chance. I know they're going after that Sensi from, is it Inter Milan or AC Milan?
Yeah,
and he's just bog standard, isn't he? No,
but they had the other guy called back from, was it Man City who called the other guy back? I can't remember Man City or something.
No, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Cassaday's been called back. Wheels are falling off. Yeah.
It's all happening. It's all happening. So let's move on to Norwich then, because we are pressed for time and Kev's got to do his salsa classes later.
I've got dinner. I'm going out for dinner, late dinner.
Yeah. So Norwich then. So Bamford scores from a wonderful, a wonderful cross from Daniel James, which makes it 5 goals and assists in 5 games, I believe. Me and Kev were saying last week. Well, I said to Kev, "Is this purple patch over for Patrick Bamford? Can you see this continuing, Joe?"
He's Bamford's streaky. He's always been streaky, and I think he's benefiting from the way we're playing this year. We looked at the start of the season, the first half of the season. I think we'd said a couple of times on different channels. The amount of balls that Dan James was smashing across the 6-yard line, there was nobody there because Georgie wasn't a natural 9, so he was dropping deep and he was leaving gap, and Pirro was playing as a 10, so he wasn't going into the 6-yard area. Paddy will occupy that space. He'll occupy the 2 centre backs. He'll keep them pinned back. He'll sit between the 2 of them, and he'll look. The things that Paddy does well are the ugly side of football. The pressing, the bullying centre backs, the occupying them, keeping them busy, and I think he's benefiting from that because the kind of balls that Dan James putting in. And Bamford said it himself after the game. Dan James knows his movement and knows where he's going to be, so it's easy for Dan James just to clip the ball in there. But the way we're going right now, I can see Paddy scoring a lot more goals. He still needs to tidy up the finishing a little bit. He should have had 2 minimum the other day. The left footed thrash that he had at the ball that he
that was funny. That was, wasn't it?
But you're like, if he didn't have a goal to his name at that stage, the crowd could have been a slightly different reaction. But he's in a really good vein of form. He seems to be enjoying himself. He enjoyed himself with the fans as well when he scored, which I really liked seeing that as well. Yeah, it's great. Look, I think it continues for a while anyway, but he will have another, patch where he doesn't score goals because that's the kind of player Paddy is. He'll score for 5-6 games in a row, then he won't score for 2 or 3, and then he'll score for another 2 or 3, and then he won't score for 4 or 5. So it happens with him, but I'm glad right now that he's finding his form and he's fine because he's an asset in this division. Whatever at the Premier League, he definitely is still an asset in this division. So it was said by a lot of people, we just need to get him happy and just need to get him back in form. I think Frank has managed his fitness level really well, that he's not getting caught with injuries now, and he's not getting, playing 20 minutes and then pulling the hamstring again. He's managed them really, really well. So hopefully the injuries are behind him and he can focus on the rest of the season, because a fit Pat Bamford at this level is an asset to the club.
Yeah, I agree, mate. And I think the dynamic between Bamford and Pirot as strikers is totally different. I love how Bamford runs the line. That's why majority of the time he is offside. He's not just having us on. He generally does make them runs. Kev, talk to me about Gruev. Kevin Gruev. Let's talk about that back heel, by the way. Oh,
Beautiful.
bellissimo, wasn't it?
I can't give him more credit than I've already given him on the pod so far. He's
More. We want
yeah.
more.
Yeah, he's just really good. The way if you see the way if you watch him off the ball, he's always turning his head, and that's a sign of a good player who's really good at their awareness. He's always like that, doing the little messy shake of the head. So he's always like doing his scans, knowing where everybody is at all times. That's why his passing accuracy is that high, because he's always knows where everybody is.
Yeah, Firpo, another excellent game for Firpo. Joe, that Archie tackle. I mean, it's 17-year-old kid, man. We're on
no card.
We're on no card as well, and he gets an attacking phase going. He's unbelievable, this kid.
Again, I think he's starting to get fed up being kicked, and he's starting to stand up to people. When Robbie Brady knocked him into the advertising board, he was very quick to get up and square up to Robbie Brady as well. So, look. This is good for Archie. He doesn't need it easy. He needs it tough. He needs to learn, and coming against players that rough him up a little bit will add to his game and make him stronger and better. It's the one thing about young players when they step up to a first team that you always worry about. Can they handle the physicality stuff? They have to learn that, and he's learning it rapidly. But he's adapting so well and so quick. But it was a nasty tackle that should have got a yellow card, because by the definition of the rule book, it was a cynical tackle. There was no ball there, and he took the player out, and that seems to be what's caused the knee injury, because a couple minutes later he was down. They said he the bang, and then he'd overextended the knee as well. And apparently Archie thought that he'd done his ACL. They were really worried about him for a couple of minutes, and then luckily it's just ligament bruising or impact, and not actually anything serious. So luckily for that, but it was a horrible tackle. And these have been going on, these players. Willie Gnonto at the start of the season had some horrendous tackles put in them that they got away with. Somerville the same. Some of the tackles that are going on Leeds players. If you're in the Premier League, I think there's an awful lot more red cards going out to get teams against Leeds, because some of the tackles will be reviewed. There's been nasty ones, feet off the ground, ankle high tackles. It's not nice to see. And the referees, for me in the Championship, are probably the worst that I've seen them at this level. Even the length time we spent in the Championship, I've never seen them as bad as this. And they don't seem to want to do Leeds any favours or protect the players as well, especially the younger players. Some of the tackles are horrendous, and they should be looked after, and they're not being. So Leeds are starting to take it into their own hands. You've got Joe Rodon who's now stepping up and getting in people's faces. You've got Archie doing it as well, and that's just going to have to be the way it is for the rest of the season. You've started to see Leeds players cause a little bit of aggro on the pitch. Going back to Bielsa's time, we saw that happen the year we got up after the first year, and you saw Clicky getting involved and stuff on sidelines. So you need that. You need that edge. You need that bit of niggle, and I'm delighted to see we've got it. But this is the problem with playing a 17-year-old every single week. He's going to get targeted, because he will be more experienced players. Like Kenny McLean was having a couple of nips at him as well. Like, they'll target him and they'll say, this is a guy we can rough up a little bit and intimidate. So we have to be careful with him. It's not just protecting him for minutes, it's protecting him for those kind of things as well. We just got to be careful with him.
Yeah, I agree there. Bandit, but some people said Lord Bamford should never wear the shirt again. Should we forgive them? Them people, with their trousers around their ankles at adult age. Let's not listen to them. Let's just go off your own opinions, mate. I think Bamford is, in this league, an asset to us, as Joe said. We can all be frustrated at him, but we shouldn't abuse him, is my opinion. But anyway.
But there's a line, isn't there, Johnny? That's the thing about it.
There
I
is,
said this during the week. No issue with people criticizing the player on performance. No, I've never got a problem with that. And as Daniel Farke said it, when you sign the contract, you know what comes with it. And if you want the flowers, you've got to take the thorns as well, when it's not going well. So, but it should never get personal. When it crosses the line into personal abuse, then you've gone too far. You've already lost the argument. It should be about performance and ability. That's it. And that's where it should stay.
Exactly. Well, overall, Kev, it was good to see out a 1-0 win, wasn't it? Against, Norwich had a bit of form. They played all right, didn't they? They're not exactly rubbish, but you're good to see out the 1-0 win.
Yeah, they're really good in possession, especially for that middle part of the game. After when we were under the cosh for a bit, I thought Kenny McLean was really good. He had a good game. He was controlling the game, all from like the centre back up into the midfield. It just showed grit, defensive work, and shows how good we are, especially with Gruev dropping in to make that third centre back. It's just games like that when we are under the cosh. Last year we would have lost. Beginning of the season we would have lost that game. They'd have equalised and they would have won 2-1. We all know what we come in, but yeah, I'm just happy with the way that where we're grinding out these results, especially in the last 2 games, because we have had it a bit. Preston, dirty. Norwich, they had a game plan and they stuck to it, and they actually did play around us for at least a good 20 minutes when we did hardly even touch the ball. And again, just shows that we can grind out these wins, and I'm impressed with it.
Yeah, you agree, Joe? I mean, obviously, it's a good point that Kev makes, but it's a team that it goes on to finish in the top 2, in my opinion, if we ground out hard games like that. Obviously, we broke the record.
Yeah,
we broke. Sorry, go on, Joe. Yeah.
There you go. You finish point.
So the record is we've got 4 wins in a row in January for the first time ever in our history. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to sound smart, but it didn't come off. Go on, Joe.
You need to win these games. I said this again earlier on the year. It's fine beating Leicester and Ipswich, but they're not the games that will get you promoted. It's beating everybody else. It's beating the teams that are in the bottom half of the table. And our stumbling block this year has been the teams from 16th down. They've been the ones, like every time it was like, oh, Leeds are playing Rotherham, the 21st in the table, slip up. Leeds are playing Stoke, they're 19th in the table, slip up.
Yeah, 5 wins or whatever it is. James is in the comments. I don't know why.
Have we told him why James is not here tonight, by the way? Have we told him why James is not here?
Where is James tonight, Kev?
Oh, he's doing he's a paranormal tour guide. He normally works at Coventry Cathedral on a Friday every other week. So yeah, that's where James is tonight, doing paranormal tours around.
Tour guide.
Yeah, around Coventry Cathedral. That's where he is tonight. Yeah.
What is he as a ghost? Is that?
No, he's the one showing them all the spots where all the spooky stuff's happened. So that's what James is doing tonight. Yeah.
Nothing.
He's not very busy right now. There mustn't be anybody with him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, does it?
No one's turned up. Right, they're all watching us. That's why. Right, so we'll move on to Plymouth. We'll move on to the Plymouth preview tomorrow. Obviously, because I know that Kev's got. We are a serious podcast. Please do like and subscribe. We're 20 away from 400. So if we get to 400, Kev will actually breakdance live. He's promised me that. It's in writing. So Plymouth tomorrow, Joe. Do you see many changes tomorrow, mate?
Yep. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's a choice. I really don't think he has a choice. I don't think he'd like to, but I don't think he has a choice tomorrow. He needs to be careful with the team. We're starting to clock up injuries now. Over the course of this season, towards the back end of it, we're going to start seeing more people getting niggles and getting tired and picking up injuries because of the amount of minutes they're playing. So needs to be careful. I think you'll see Nyonto's apparently back in the mix as well, so he could be in the team. I think Poveda might actually play in this game as well, and you might have a couple of surprises as well. But I think he's going to have to protect the players for next week. Like the league is by a mile more important, but I still think we'd have enough to beat them. I mean, the fact that he pointed out today, Adam Forshaw and Darko JB have played their last 2 games and they've been very, very good for them. Both of them are ineligible for the game, so that means an entire new centre midfield for them. And we should have been better against Plymouth the first time we played them in the league. We were excellent for 45 minutes against them, and then we took the foot off the gas in the second half. We just weren't ruthless enough. So, yeah, I think there'll be changes, but I think we should still have enough.
Yeah, I think you'll see Nonto and I think you'll see Nonto and Anthony starting tomorrow. I think that Poveda probably in Rutter's position, Pirro up top. I do think one of Gruev or Kamara will be taken out. I think we'll see Cooper possibly playing, Shackleton at right back. I think Melier will stick in this side. I think he'll make 5 or 6 changes. I do, yeah.
See, on Melier, I did see a picture earlier about the programme. It's got a picture of Klaassen on the front, right? Exclusive. But obviously, it could mean anything. But I think Klaassen.
But he doesn't concede any goals, does he? He doesn't concede any goals through his entire Leeds career. It's not conceded a goal. So
all the magic.
Sir Jinx a lot over here. Sir Jinx.
No, you can't. There's a group of people who think Klaassen should be number 1, and they always tell me when I point out that you don't watch on 21 games, they always tell me that they've watched every single minute of every game he's ever played. And he's great. I've watched him in the 21 team, and he does make a lot of mistakes. And he's not for me. And I would be concerned if we play against a team in the league, if he played, that would put shots on us, because he was very well protected for the 2 games that he played. But if there's shots on him, mistakes, and that's my worry with him.
Yeah, so let's get a prediction then, Joe, from yourself, sir. What do you think? Do you think we're going through?
2-1 win, and I think Mateo Joseph will score one of them.
It'd be good to see Mateo
Mostly I
start
want him
tomorrow.
to score. I just want him to score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Kev?
I'm just going to go 2-1. Definitely. I think we're going to win. I think it'll be an entertaining game tomorrow because of the changes that will be made. But the players that we'll be bringing in would get into any other side in the championship, which is strange. So Nonto and Jaden Anstey, yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be a good game to watch. And I know we don't really care about the cup. I mean, I'd love a cup run, but I think we can watch a game where we're like, we can actually have a little bit of ease the pressure off ourselves as a fan base and not go crazy. And I'm really looking forward to just actually watching the game where I'm like, okay, it's just going to be lovely.
Yeah, hopefully we'll go through. I mean, I don't think Plymouth will want to go through. I think they're busy trying to stay up the league. Right, so yeah, bear with us, everyone. Not long to go. 2 more segments. Oh no, another 2 segments. Hang in there. Don't worry. Right. So we're going on. What we'll do now is it's called Top Knob, and what we do, if you don't know, I hope. Right, here we go. Andrea's in the comments, Joe. I'll be coming to take my record, Joe, because watch out, he says. Joe
What's the
and
record?
Andrea. I think you're both on 4 appearances each now.
Oh, okay. All right.
So the first 1 to 10 get some Nalp meat merch, or you get to take me out on a date. Either way, you get your choice.
That's win-win.
So yeah,
Win-win.
everybody's a winner.
Everybody's
So what we do is we nominate someone who's pissed us off, and we call them the top knob. We put them in and we vote, and we see who is the top knob. So let's get into this week's top knob.
Top knob.
Best jingles in the game. Right. So Kev, we'll come to you first, mate. Who do you want to nominate for top knob?
This week, I'm going for a Twitter account named Saints Statistics.
I've seen
because
this.
he has riled up the entire Leeds United Twitter fan base, and the way he goes, and just that one line saying, "With Leeds out of the picture," and every Leeds fan has just gone bright red out with this, haven't they? And he's just brought on himself. I don't think he knew what he was writing. But yeah, I think that's rolled up, and I want him to be top knob of the week because some of the takes on there were brilliant, and he's just rolled up the entire fan base. And it's funny to read out the Leeds responses because Leeds Twitter is the most craziest place on earth, and they will fight. Yeah, they will fight for their club tooth and nail from their handset. That's how funny it is. But yeah, he's done my head in this week. It's just funny.
What I love about this fan base, right, and also hate about it, is that you'll see a tweet and you'll be like, right, I'm going to say something. But by the time you've got into the comments, there's about 300 other comments saying exactly what you wanted to say and more. That's the thing about Journo's full all about Twitter, at least Twitter. Don't you, mate? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Let's not go into that again. I've only just got over the death threats that I got just from being associated with you. I'm only messing. Right. So yeah, Joe, who's your top knob, mate?
Before I did that, I just went on Kev's one because I thought it was brilliant. If Leeds could be second before Southampton and Ipswich kick a ball again, like Leeds play before them. Exactly. So to say Leeds were out of the picture, I thought was hilarious. But yeah,
you knew what you would do.
Let them think that. Mine's Ryan Lowe.
Oh,
I
really?
would have let him away with it last week because of managers can say silly things after a game when they haven't seen it back. But then to say it yesterday in his press conference that he still thinks it's a handball and the VAR in the Premier League would give it every week, wouldn't give it. I was like, dude, you need to stop. He just sounds to me like a manager who's panicking and he's clinging onto his job. Yeah, Ryan Lowe for just being a bellend.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I wish I could nominate both. In fact, fuck it, I'm going to nominate both Ryan Lowe and Saints Statistics. He knew what he was doing. You are both this week's top knob.
Top knob.
Best jingles in the game. Anyway, right, we've got one more segment. So what I've done for people who don't know, I've built a supercomputer with all the money from the sponsors with secret millionaires, but keep it quiet. And what this does, it generates random stuff. And it could be anything. It could be lottery numbers. It could be rubbish questions. Joe Wayman, if you're watching this, yeah, rubbish questions there. Anyway, so let's get into it. So are you ready, Joe?
Yes, let's go.
Beep, boop, beep.
Calculating. Question found. Which player would you take in a mate date and where?
That computer needs to work on his English. I'm sorry, but
Mm.
I'm going to send him on a course. Right. So obviously, I'm super smart, and I've created this algorithm. So, which current or old Leeds United player or any player would you take, Kev, and where?
I'd take Paul Gascoigne out on a night out, man. I'd love to go on a night out with Paul Gascoigne.
You wouldn't survive that.
Yeah, that's what
No.
I'm thinking. If I was near the end, right, and I hated my life, I'd go on a night out with Paul Gascoigne or Mario Balotelli. It's just between one of the
Imagine
two.
that.
Yeah, I
Bloody
think
hell.
Paul Gascoigne on a night out, that would be a good for me. Yeah.
Go on, Joe. Oh,
I
where,
thought it was
where,
gonna be
Kev? Where, Kev? You didn't say where.
The Balgreen Club in Coventry. I'll take him to
It's
the
very
Balgreen
specific.
Club. Mm-hmm.
But you'd
They've
go
got
out there,
great
but you'd end up in
decor.
Thailand.
Yeah, they've got
The Hangover.
great decor in there. Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. What about you, sir?
I thought it was just Leeds players. So I was thinking like of current players, I'd love to chat with Bill. I would have loved to gone out with Bill somewhere. Old players, Rudy Austin. I'd love to just sit down and talk to Rudy Austin. I really would. I'd like to get inside his head. I love them. But if it's players that are not, or bring Jorginho Rutter to a rave, I'd love to do that with him. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be
Rutter
good.
to
Or a
bicep,
fashion
that'd be
show
fun.
with Rutter. That would be some fun as well, wouldn't it? It's like
Yeah,
some
you're right.
weird clobber, mate. Oh my god, it's got some weird clobber, hasn't it? Yeah.
I think he'd be well up for it. A couple of
He
glow
would.
sticks would be grand.
I don't know what. I'd probably get Dan James, cover him in grease and try and catch him in a field. I don't know. That's just random. That's just popped into my head. I don't know. I mean, I'd probably take Firpo laser tag or something. I don't know. I'm a great guy,
He'd
Anyway,
get injured,
so-
mate. You can't take him anywhere
would.
like that. He'd end up falling over and hurting himself. You
The
do
laser
not
would go
take
in
that-
his eye and blind
Yeah.
him on his
Yeah,
left hand
no,
side.
yeah,
completely.
That's true. That's true. Right, that concludes this week's podcast. Thank you, Joe, again for coming on
No problem.
and putting up with us and drawing with Andrea for that night out on number 10 or Nalp merch, which will be out by then, hopefully. Right, so everyone, thank you very much for putting up with me, especially, and us on this podcast. It is Chaos Drink. And please do like and subscribe. We're not far off of 400 subscribers. And we want to get ourselves out there because we are very random and chaotic. Joe, and what's your next big thing coming up, mate? You got a review in the morning or what?
Nothing tomorrow. I might do something over the weekend just because I missed a day this week. I had sponsors phone calls, and then the sponsors turned out to be wanting to pay in crypto and gambling stuff, and I won't do gambling and I won't do crypto. So that was the end of. I wasted a day. So nothing. I might do something over the weekend just as a review of the game, maybe. And then next week it's just back to the news, and there's possibly a match preview with Andrew Dalton stats as well, possibly next week, and we'll see how that goes.
That's good. Great, man. Great. If you don't subscribe to Joe, please go. He does all the news and it makes me look good because I read some stuff from his videos. I don't really know, but please do go and subscribe to Joe. He's a great guy. Kev, we've got the Sunday Club on Sunday.
Yes, we have. Without you this week, though, haven't we, Danny? Yeah.
Actually, I am there this week. I am there this
cool.
week.
Yes.
Surprise.
So yeah, we'll be talking
Yeah.
Plymouth, really, won't we? And mad takes what's happening in the last couple of days, I guess. So yeah, Sunday it'll be around between 7 and 8. Me, James, and Danny. Yeah, good.
Yeah. So please, that's over on the Leeds House fan podcast. It's Kev. You can see it in Kev's name there. Thank you once again. Please do like and subscribe. It means the world to us. And thank you for putting up with us. And we will see you next week.